Is sales growth slow for your business or firm? And is it getting you down? Is it making you feel frustrated? Are you feeling, how can we start to grow? In which case, this is the video for you. My name is James White, small business sales expert, man that loves helping great businesses achieve incredible sales results. And in this video, I'm going to share with you the key things that are causing sales growth to happen and what you can do if it starts to happen in your business. Let's have a look at the video. But before you do, like and subscribe to the channel. Make sure you share it with others. Let's make sure we get everyone on a growth party and achieving success in 2023. So let's have a look at the video and see what you need to do to put in place to make sure that you can get sales growth happening in your company. So sales growth is one of the critical things that we all need as companies, especially if we're to stay alive in a modern era. Someone once said, if you're not going forward, you're going backwards. I see a lot of companies that are happy sort of staying where they are, but the reality is their marketplace is being eaten away by new competitors and what's going on. So if sales growth is something you're struggling with and you can't get past that maybe £500,000 barrier or £1 million or even £15 million barrier, then maybe what are some of the key things that could be causing this to happen? Let's have a look what they are and see how you can put in place methods and tips to stop them happening and get your company back on the growth train. So the first thing I encourage you to do is to be aware of your marketplace itself. One of the key critical skills for CEOs to have is to make time for them to be able to look at how their marketplace is operating. And some of the key factors that I encourage people to look at are things such as PEST analysis. So PEST stands for political, economic, social and technological. What are some of the factors that are going on in the marketplace that you operate in? And could that be one of the reasons for slow growth? For example, if you were in the CD manufacturing business, then the chances are you would see that the macro factors around people streaming more and technology and higher speed internet is going to mean that people are less likely to use that service. So that could be a reason for your marketplace changing. Or maybe you're in the food delivery space and you're finding that absolutely your market's growing really quickly because more people are really keen to get more things delivered to them than ever before. And you see lots of apps that are now doing this. So the key thing is for you as a CEO or business owner to objectively look at your market. Start to look at what other people are doing instead of using your service. What are the alternatives? There's a great piece of work that I encourage people to look at called Porter's 5 Forces. Michael Porter was a Harvard Business University professor who wrote something called the 5 Forces around how suppliers, competitors, entrants into the market space. Search for Porter's 5 Forces and just start to think about how your marketplace is changing. Do that alongside a PEST analysis and it's going to give you some insights to make sure that your sales growth isn't caused by other factors that are maybe outside of your control. Do that and it's a great starting point to see where you are and where you need to get to. So if you've looked at your marketplace and you feel like you're in a growing market that should be doing okay, then the next thing you've got to do is find out what the problem is. The reality is in sales, and if sales growth isn't happening the way we want it to, it can be down to a number of key factors. It can be down to the fact that we don't have enough leads coming into the business. It can be down to the fact that we have lots of leads coming in, but we don't handle them very well, or we don't ask the right sales approach or sales questions to get the results we want. Or it could be that the service that we offer is not very great and our reviews on Trustpilot or Google have not been high. The key thing when sales growth is stalling is you've got to find out what's causing the issue. And a lot of business owners don't want to do that because it's hard to be self-reflective, but I'd much rather be self-reflective and find out what's going wrong than be out of business. So make a little time to have a little look. Ask the questions of your sales team or people that work within the business. What's the feedback that's coming in? Make time to actually speak to customers and talk to them about what they like and what they don't like, but really try and identify what the problem is. Have a little look at how many leads you're bringing in per month and how many you're converting. What are those conversion ratios? And if you want to reach out to me on my social media or in my Facebook group or LinkedIn group, then let us know. We'll help you where we can. But the key thing is you have to identify the source of the problem. And if you don't know, and if you're not sure what it is, bring an expert in that can tell you. People like myself or other business mentors and sales mentors will identify issues that you've got going on and going to hopefully put you on the path to growth. The key thing is don't be an ostrich, don't put your head in the sand, look at what the problem is and let's work out a plan to solve it. So point number 3, and I did mention it briefly in point number 2, is talk to your current and ex-customers. Have a conversation. If you've got a customer that's doing a lot of business with you at the moment, actually make some time to go and have lunch with them, go and have a coffee with them, go and take them out for some drinks. Get them in a position where they can talk about what really works for them in the service or product that you offer and actually what they feel that doesn't work for them. What are the things that annoy them? What are the things that frustrate them? What are the things that make them feel a bit aggrieved? And maybe when you've asked questions and really intently show that you're keen to listen, then maybe that might mean you spend a bit of money on a lunch or some drinks, but it'll mean that the other person is see that you're focused on caring and supporting them, and it's going to help give insights that you may not have had before. I've gained insights when I've been at meetings before by talking to clients and asking about how we do things, and people have then come back to me and said that actually one of the issues was a member of the team that we had. We were then in a position where we were able to then provide some other training to help that person grow and develop. But you don't know if you don't ask. If you actually spend some time talking to ex-customers, providing you're prepared to put the brave pants on and listen to the negative feedback or the things that they're going to say and really get that honest insights, then the chances are you may get some really incredible insights that help you change. But more importantly, that other ex-customer, I actually think, well, maybe you're worth giving another go to, and they might be able to turn them around. The point being is, use the great open questions. Where could our service have improved? What are the challenges that you face in purchasing from us? What are the areas that we don't provide you the service you'd like? What would make you want to choose another alternative provider instead of us? How could we improve what we do? What are the areas in which we're not servicing you properly, etc., etc.? Those type of questions, if you ask them in the right way, when you get the answers back, probe. Keep finding out, you mentioned this, tell me more. You talked about this, what did you mean by that? The more insights you get, the better you can then start to identify where issues are and build a plan to solve them. So if you're struggling for sales growth across your overall business, one of the best ways to be able to stop that slide is to focus on the areas where you may be getting better results than expected. Is there a person in your team or an area or a product or a service that you're actually not seeing that growth being slow and that it's been consistent and strong? If so, what's made that happen? There's a great saying someone always told me once, which success leaves clues. So if your fastest growing area of your business or your strongest area is doing really well, what is it about that group or that service or that department or that person or that team that's working so well? Is it the way they approach things? Is it the way they've customized a solution for an audience? Is it a type of audience they're engaging with? The reality is, when you start to see where you're doing well, you can then maybe adjust some of what you do and adjust your business model to focus more in that area than on another area. I'm working with an organisation at the moment who cover lots of different areas, but they've got 4 or 5 areas where they're really strong. And I believe their sales growth will come from focusing on those areas and building even greater market share and presence in those spaces. And I think we're going to help them absolutely smash their numbers out of the park because we're going to focus on where they're strong and where they're getting great success. So if you want to know what is stopping you from achieving growth, focus on where you are strong. Find out where you're getting great results. Find out why people are using you. What makes your service different in that offering, and use that as an insight to then build a plan to change other areas and get the growth back on track. So follow on from the last point where we talked about talking to existing customers. Another great thing to consider if sales growth is stalling is what you're actually doing with existing customers. There's a phrase that I use called wallet share. And if you're engaging with larger organisations, and maybe you're only engaging with one part of the organisation, there's probably a larger group of people in other areas that you can start to work and engage with. It might take some time, it might need an introduction or a referral from someone in the company you already work with. But look at how much business you do with that existing company and see how you can do more with them, or potentially even try and adjust your rates with that company in order to achieve the growth that you want. When one of my friends sold his company, he only had 19 customers that he worked with. 19 customers to build a multi-million-pound business. How mad is that? And the reason he was good at being able to drive sales growth is because he understood those organizations and really worked to sell high and sell wide. He worked his way into an organization and then started to grow his tentacles in, and that opened up other opportunities that opened up growth for him. So be in a position where you do more of those existing customers. You've already got a head start. They already like you and think you're great. So what we now need to do is build on that by looking at where we can do additional work. And if we can start to identify where we're strong and where we've delivered great service and clients are happy, we can then hopefully use that to do more with that company and be in a position where we can start to see those numbers rising. So you might have decided that your sales growth is happening because you're not getting enough leads in. Your product's good, your service is good, you deliver well, your sales team are good, but you're just not getting enough people finding you. And if that's the case, then one of the challenges around marketing is that there are so many different types of marketing you can do nowadays. You've got LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, Pinterest, TikTok, all these different channels. And then the reality is to do all of those things across all of those audiences, as well as other brand and product and other forms of marketing, just makes things difficult. So the biggest tip I'm going to give you, if growth is stalling, identify where your customers are, identify where the opportunities are, and focus on one of those channels. For me, I focus on YouTube. YouTube is where I want to grow my brand. It's where I want to grow my sharing of ideas and insights. That's why I'm doing videos for you. But if you're in a position where you're seeing growth stalling and you're thinking, I can't afford to focus in lots of areas, identify where your clients, your target persona go most, and then focus in on that area. Focus in on improving what you do so that you can serve more people, so you can engage with more people. Maybe LinkedIn's your area. So focus on how you can start sharing posts that are more relevant. Start sharing content that your audience loves. The key thing is this: when we identify and work on one thing solely, the chances are, yes, we're going to be very good in that area, and it may affect some of the other aspects. But if that's where the concentration of your audience is going, where most of your target customers are, then be good at that one place. Start to showcase your value. Start to create content that excites and it makes people feel this is helpful and useful. And it's hopefully going to bring people into your funnel. It's going to bring people to start to see what you do and hopefully to drive that growth activity. So my penultimate point, and this is probably an obvious one for me to say, but I'll say it anyway, is invest in some training and some mentoring and some support. If your team is not doing very well because you're getting lots of leads coming in, but they're not converting as many as you should be, then you've got to focus on how you can improve that. Who's mentoring the team? Who's training the team? What's the mindset of the team to take new ideas on board? Are you starting to look at those things and invest in and putting money aside to bring people in to help you do that and achieve the results you want? Whether it's me or someone else, the reality is if you don't bring new ideas and new insights and into your sales team to enable them to grow and learn new skills, the chances are you're always going to get the same results. When I go and work with sales teams, I'm keen to understand the dynamics of the team, what's happening. Maybe it's the compensation structure that's not right. Maybe it's the fact that the team have just become a bit complacent and lazy. Or maybe it's just the fact they've just not had any mentoring and support and they don't know where they're going wrong. The key thing is invest in experts. Bring people in that understand the challenges you face. If you've got a sales growth challenge, bring someone in that can help you understand what the plan is, where to make the numbers happen, and what actions you've got to take to put that in place. And if you don't do that, the chances are you're going to carry on the same path and it's not going to get where you want to. So focus on understanding where you're weak, where the challenges are, and bring some experts in that can help you spot these issues and put plans in place to solve them. So my final point is if sales growth is stalling, if you as a business owner are thinking, I'm not sure what to do, my final point is this: be brave in your decision making. What do I mean by being brave? The reality is, I always say to businesses, you have two choices. You're either going to grow or you're going to go backwards, but you can't stay the same. The world's changing too often and too much to make us and our company stay the same. So if we're not going that way, we're going that way. And if you don't want that to happen for your business, then be looking in 2 or 3 years' time and thinking that revenues have dropped and your business has changed and it's not where you want it to be, then you have to focus on being forward thinking and really ensuring that you take brave decisions to get the results you want. Being brave means doing something that maybe feels a bit uncomfortable, or maybe taking action that makes you feel like it's a risk, but you've got to try and do it. Or maybe you're in a position where you're having to invest in an area that you've previously not invested in before, or bring in expertise that might cost you. But the reality is this: if we're not brave in our decision making, if we stay in the same place, we're going to get the same results. I really recommend you reading a fantastic book called Who Moved My Cheese by Dr. Spencer Johnson. I'll put a link to the book. Have a look at it. It's a fantastic way to look at how you make brave decisions in your life. The 2 mice that are in that story would have stayed where they are and would have basically ended up dying and passing away because they weren't prepared to take change. Be brave, understand the problems, understand where you're getting success, understand what needs to happen in your organization that's stopping you from achieving the growth you want, and then take brave action. Put actions in place and commit to it so that you believe and can make those plans and new things you're going to put in place get the results you want. If you don't, the chances are you're going to go backwards and you'll kick yourself when you look back and think, I could have and should have, rather than I did. So these are some of my key thoughts on what's stopping you from achieving sales growth, or if the sales growth numbers aren't where you want it to be. But what do you think? What are some of the things you've seen that stop companies from growing? Put it in the comment section below and let's have a conversation around what's stopping you and your company from achieving the growth you want. But one thing I know is this: if you're not going forward, you're going backwards. So vow to make a change. If growth isn't where you want it to be, if you're frustrated with numbers, if you feel your team could do better, then let's put in place the plans and actions to get you and your company where you want it to be. Doing nothing isn't an option. Take action, be brave, and we'll get you and your company where you want it to be for the next few years ahead. Thanks for watching the video. Hope you've enjoyed it. If you have, please like and subscribe to the channel. Let's share it with others. I look forward to sharing another video with you next Saturday. Take care.